2 dimes and a token. Dear Meg Wosie.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of 2 Dimes and a Token. I am one of your hosts, your fellow dime, Bruck Nasty. My other host we have here, Kanyeezy.
Needs no introduction.
Yes, absolutely. And to my left here, we have the amazing Batman Unmasked.
What's up, boys? How are y'all?
Yes.
Not
living
bad,
the
not
dream.
bad. Happy to
Living
be
the
here.
dream.
Happy to be here.
Yes, we have Steven Batman in the house. And we have to give a big shout out to our token. Chris is not able to be here today, unfortunately, because of the hurricane. He has been forced to handle some things down south where my family lives. Everybody was safe, and that's what matters most.
Exactly.
So we are going to miss him today. Let's everybody tip a glass to our token addict who's actually sober. So this makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So
Exactly.
moment of silence. We love you, God. I stretched really far for that. Awesome. So, thank you guys again for coming back and checking us out. So we have an awesome story for you today. Mr. Batman here. Successful business person, right? Business
Use
person.
that term lightly.
Use that term lightly. Successful realtor, right? Successful in pretty much everything he does. This is the type of guy that when I see him in a room, I immediately know, okay, he's the alpha and I'm the bitch. That's one of those guys.
So what does that make me?
I'm just saying, bro. Like, well, that's not really fair to say because Keon's like, I've said this multiple times. Keon is the second most sought after commodity in the United States, period. The first is money. The second thing is a bald black dude that has abs.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting right here.
Yeah. I'm excited for that too. Don't get it twisted. I'm excited for that.
Fantastic. Awesome. So let's kick it off. Let's kick it off, man. So we want to get your story today. We really want to know where you started, but also where you plan to go. So tell us a little about where you grew up, man.
Man, I was born and raised in Claremont, Florida. It's about an hour north of here, so you're not too far. Central Florida, born and raised.
Yeah.
Grew up pretty normal life, man. Played football and baseball as I was growing up. Played into high school. Ended up going to college to play baseball. Probably should have gone to play football, but you know we all make decisions.
I'm just saying, if you would have went to play football, you would have played with your boy.
You know, I actually had I had talked to the coach at Weber.
I remember you told me about that.
Yeah.
That was a nasty offer because we would have been there at the same time. I would have met you before that, right? Because we met at our first career jobs, right?
That's right.
We're not going to say it out loud so we don't have to bleep this episode because yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but if you would have played football, because from what I heard, you look like the quarterback from Varsity Blues. I heard it was nasty. Not the starting quarterback, the backup quarterback.
Right.
Dawson's Creek style. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely had those pants.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
He made a better decision. Let's
Made a
just
better
Thank
say
you.
a better
Thank you.
decision.
So I thought my infinite wisdom at that time, I was like, you know, I'm gonna have a longer career playing baseball. You know, I'm gonna hold up. My body's gonna hold up better.
Yeah.
All this stuff. I had shoulder surgery like my third junior year, and just it wasn't the same. So
Yeah.
there it is. But you know, no regrets. It led me to where I am today. So got no
Yeah.
complaints about that.
And also, when you're walking down the street, you look like a baseball player, so that's good.
That's valid.
And I've heard that baseball players are better looking than football players.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife tells me that all the
Oh
time.
man.
Oh,
She
yeah.
does. I heard that a number of times.
Yeah, she talks shit to me a lot.
I mean, baseball player. She loves the jeans that they wear. The
She
pants.
loves, yeah, the pants.
The pants.
It's like,
Something.
wow, do you see his ass cheeks?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
don't.
Not at all.
But I appreciate it.
Yes.
Cool. So where did you go to college?
So I went to Florida Southern.
Yeah.
Here in Lakeland. Was there for 5.5 years, 4.5 years, 5.5 years.
Okay.
Because I had a redshirt year in there, so
Nice.
I got them to pay for half of my graduate program.
Absolutely.
So had some good times there. I mean, you know, can't complain. You know, college is college. So
Wait a second. So let's give a quick shout out. In case you guys haven't noticed, we added something to the back here. So not only did you not wake up to be a weak ass bitch today, but bad decisions make better stories. And we believe that here at 2 Dimes and a Token.
Wholeheartedly.
Wholeheartedly. So, and do you have any bad stories?
I'll give you one that I've got. So I'll give you a story, and then I'll give you just kind of a general rule of thumb. General rule of thumb is my go-to move at the bar was doing the worm on the dirty ass, on the dirty ass dance floor.
Wait. You did the worm on the floor in the bar?
Always. Like that was like as soon as that alcohol to hit a certain point, like the worm was coming out.
So I'm going to retract my outburst of laughter, and I'm going to show a massive amount of respect.
Why?
That's what I'm going to do right now.
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Because number one,
That was the definition of a bad decision.
I know, but at the same time, let's be real, boys. Let's be real, fellas. If you have the balls to drop down in the middle of Linksters in downtown Lakeland and immediately do the worm,
Oh, it was worse.
I'll be honest. I would have looked over and I'd have been like, yo, I respect that guy.
Do you guys remember the Cow Corner?
No, what the hell is that?
Exactly.
He took it left.
Exactly.
He took it left. Where was the
It was a
was
you know,
it dirt ground?
yeah. No. They did have concrete,
Okay.
but it was generally covered in some sort of, spilt beer or some sort of substance, right? Like it wasn't clean.
So, Batman, your wife seen you do the work?
Oh yeah.
And she still
Why do you
decided
think
to
she
marry
married me?
Okay, I got you. Okay. She seen the hips. Got it.
She
Understood.
saw the
She's
worm
seen
and she
his.
saw the last name and she's like, I'm in. It
Yeah.
doesn't,
Absolutely.
doesn't even matter.
I must say, I do love the last name. Batman is just amazing.
Yeah. He saved Gotham over 100
So
times.
you got the worm, and then so I'll give you a story. So my fifth year, my senior year playing ball, we had a doubleheader on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Graduation was on Saturday, which I was graduating that day,
Yeah.
and then we had another game down in Miami on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I pitched the last baseball game that I ever pitched on Friday,
Mhm.
graduated on Saturday, and had nothing to do on Sunday.
Mm.
We weren't going to the playoffs. Our season was over. I had graduated, so did what
Yeah.
any respectable senior would do at that time, and we stayed out till 4:00.
Yes.
Okay.
The only problem is we had to be on the bus at 8:00 to go down to Miami the next day.
Nice.
So I'm not a scientist, but alcohol does not wear off in a 4-hour period. And
No, it doesn't.
so we were, the guys I was with, we were obviously still drunk when we got on the bus in the morning.
Yeah.
But the best part about the story is I was trying to think ahead and be proactive about this. I was like, listen, at some point along this 4-hour bus ride, the hangover is going to kick in. The drunkenness is going to go away, and I'm going to start feeling like shit. So let me bring some hydration with me and some snacks to make sure that I'm going to be able to curb this situation. That's
So
coming.
you are an intelligent.
100%. So the only container that we had in the house to carry water at that particular time was an empty Svedka bottle. Right now, Svedka is vodka. Right, it was like a fifth of vodka. You see where this is going,
No,
right?
that's the shit at the bottom shelf. This
Wait,
is
wait,
like $8 for a
You
liter.
see where this is going, though, right? So
Yes.
I fill up this Svedka bottle full of water, and I put it in my bag, and I take it to the bus. Well, the 2 hours into the bus ride, the hangover starts kicking in. I was like, man, I said, I got this.
I got this.
So I take out my Svedka bottle, and I start slugging water in the back of the bus. Well, water and vodka are the same color.
Yeah.
So my coach sees this in the mirror, and he turns around and goes, Batman, what the fuck are you doing? You can't drink on the bus. And I was like, yo, it's good. It's good. It's just water. It's just water.
Every human being in the world in your coach's position would have been like, I totally believe
Yeah.
that guy.
And then I proceeded to puke for the next 2 hours.
Oh, that's
To
nice.
finish the
So
bus.
that didn't help the story.
It did not at all.
I mean,
Okay.
That was one of those bad choices that,
Yeah.
it just happens to go with it.
I'm gonna be honest. This sounds like a good time.
It does. Up until the throwing up, it's amazing.
It's a better story than it was an experience. I was like,
Oh, okay. I got you. So I just stood there and cheered him on as he was puking and be like, yo, that is a man right there.
everybody was cheering in the back of the bus. They were banging on the door. It was
I mean, but you're the man on campus. He's a senior.
Yes.
You know, it's a different. He's on his way out. Everyone is looking like, I wonder how I'm going to feel when I get to that age.
Yeah.
When I get to a senior,
Yeah.
what are you looking at next? So when you were in your senior year, what were you thinking after graduation? What was going to be your next move?
Yeah.
man, it was a weird spot in my life because I had, you guys have played sports. You had sports that entire time, right? It's
I'd like to
regimented.
point out we played sport at an elite level. Absolutely.
You had practices and you had regimens and you had disciplines and stuff that you had to look forward to, right? And I think everybody that plays sports at a high level is anticipating the next level, right? You're anticipating pro sports, you're anticipating whatever that looks like. So for me, it was a very abrupt ending. Like I remember the season was over and there was a couple of weeks between the end of the season and the draft. And I wasn't highly recruited at that point. Like I said, shoulder surgery, and then just I wasn't the same player after the surgery. So, you know, the draft came and went. There were no phone calls that were made. Nobody said, "Hey, we're going to take you in the last pick" or whatever like that. So it literally went from like 3 days of what's the next steps look like to it's done. You're over. Like baseball's done.
Did you stop training?
I did, because I had like, you know, some of the guys went on and played like independent ball and like tried to like scrap their way into the league and stuff like that.
What's the percentage of actually making it on that in baseball? Because I feel like baseball is literally, I feel like it's 10 times harder than football even. Because then there's an elite level of basketball. I mean, you have 5 starters. Would you have 12 total on the roster?
I think you have 15.
Okay, 15. I'm not educated on basketball, so don't fuck me up on that.
Right.
But at the same time, like think about it. You have 15 starting players in basketball.
Right.
You have what, 9
Yeah.
in baseball?
So I think you have a 40-man roster.
40-man roster.
Yeah.
So like, and how many people show up to a Tampa Bay, a Rays tryout?
Right. Well, I think they say it's like the top 1% of 1% of 1%, yada yada yada. You know what I mean? It's like the way I always chalk it down was like you have high school kids, right? You have like those 1 or 2 high school kids that are like the shit, like they're the like cream of the crop, right?
Yeah.
Well, all of those creams of the crop go to the same college, right? And then you have 2 or 3 that rise out of that, and those are the kids that get drafted. And then you have from every college in the nation those 2 or 3 guys that get drafted, and they're all competing against each other.
And then
And then it just replicates the next year. You have another batch of
yeah.
You know.
So in other words, what the ultimate deal of what we're trying to explain here is if you have the ambition to play sports, make sure you're discouraged. Absolutely.
Here's what I learned though, and this didn't hit me until very recently, is not only did I maybe not have the physical abilities to play professional baseball, but I was nowhere near where I needed to be mentally to play professional baseball. And that only comes from realizing how much work I needed to do mentally over the last couple of years. You know, everybody always wanted to be that guy that was staying after practice and doing the extra reps and, you know, all those things that they talk about on a regular basis. But it's like, how many times did I do that once or twice and like checked it off the list instead of making that like that was my thing.
Like
that's
that was
what
a
I
habit.
did. Like that's who I was. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, I got you.
as you take further steps away from it, you see the holes, you see the gaps of opportunities that were lost to have been able to take advantage and actually maybe make a run at being in those elite levels.
Yeah.
So it gives me a further respect for the guys that are actually in those positions and like the work that they do to be able to get there.
I always tell people it's hard being a college athlete. Life after sports, it's always a new identity that you have to take on.
Yep.
So,
Bro, it's like what is left?
yeah, it's not
was
even
the thing.
that. You work so hard to become good at one particular thing,
I know.
and then now you no longer have.
And then
that
it just
one
blows
particular-
up in your face.
Yes. So
And-
now you're left with, where do I go from here? Where people still acknowledge me the same way they acknowledged me when I was playing sports.
Dude, see, and that's how I felt when I was first. I remember when I first started getting recruited. It was at the end of my freshman year, and then my sophomore year is when I had a blowout season. It was nasties, right? And I think, yeah, it was the end of my sophomore year. Yeah, that was the 3rd time I got arrested. So, yeah. No, I'd gotten arrested, and I couldn't work out. I couldn't do anything. And then all of a sudden I come back, and by the way, this is actually a really funny story. When I had gotten arrested, and I'm not going to tell anybody what for, but if you guys write in the comments and you want to know, I will tell that story, which it's actually really funny now. And
Looking back at it.
yeah, looking back at it now, it's actually, wow, it was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when I got home that night, my mom and my dad picked me up from the police station, right? And I got home that night. Swear to God, this is fucking true. I promise on my heart. I get a phone call from Chan Gailey at Georgia Tech, right? And I pick up the phone, and I had just gotten I wouldn't even bailed out. We were kids. They didn't even take us to jail. It was like an outpost. And the school was like, we're not going to press charges, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I just gave away half of it. They let our parents come and pick us up, and they just decided what they were going to do with us later, right? So I get home and the phone rings, and I pick up the house phone. And he said, hey, is Michael Bruck there? And I was like, yeah, hold on. And I gave it to my dad. And then he was like, hey, this is for you. And I was like, oh. I said, hey, he said, Mike? And I said, yeah. He said, hey, this is Chan Gailey at Georgia Tech. And I was like, oh, shit. Really? What's up? He said, hey, nothing much, man. How are you doing? I'm all right. Right? He's like, hey, how's spring ball going? And I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to be playing spring ball. And he's like, why? I got in a little bit of trouble, right? Oh, man. Oh, that stinks. You know, it happens to the best of us, right? And I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah. He's like, all right, man. Well, hey, have a great night. And he hung up.
Okay.
I didn't even get to say bye, right? And I was like, oh, so long, dream.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, it was the worst experience of my life. I felt like shit. Because back then, remember, I was 15. So I was, man, I knew every coach. I knew every player. I watched college football for, 12 hours on Saturdays. I watched NFL football for 12 hours on Sunday. And the moment I got that phone call, I was like, damn, I'm exactly what everyone always said. Like, oh, if he would have just kept his grades up. Oh, if he just wasn't a piece of shit. But I digress. It's not about me, even though I'm crying on the inside right now. Yeah. Also, on the last note, this is the last time I'm going to interrupt. I'm really sensitive because my thighs are still really white. I know I said it in the first pod, but it's kind of bad, bro.
it's okay. It's
Yeah.
kind of like goes with the skin tone. I embrace it. You never hear me say my legs kind of black.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But your last name's Batman. It's different.
Well, it gives me a pass on the white thing.
Absolutely.
I'll take it.
He said, I'll take it. Awesome. So you now know you're not getting drafted. You now know, oh, shit, the real world's about to hit.
Yep.
Right? What's next?
Man, so next step was graduating, or like finishing my graduate program, right? So I had like a semester left of that. So finished that, and then it was like, immediately, okay, I'm coming out with a business degree. I'm coming out with a master's degree. Who's going to pay me $100,000, right? Like that was my mentality coming out. I was like,
What year was this, though?
2011.
$100,000 off rip, and we're not talking about the shit you see on YouTube about, oh, you make $1 million in your first year. No, not that bullshit. This is like real finding a job, starting your life. That's not easy to find.
Yeah,
that's hard.
And I didn't even know what I wanted to do. Like I was looking at consulting firms. I was looking at, like I thought I wanted to go be a scout or like a front office person in a athletic department or in like a team.
Yeah.
But figured out pretty quick that wasn't the direction I wanted to go. So my very, very first job was going door to door trying to sell people like new windshields. People go through and like, hey, you got a crack in your windshield. Let me call your insurance company and get you a new windshield replacement. That was my first job.
Really?
Yeah. I was there for 1 week. And it was fucking terrible.
How many times did you get the door slammed on you?
Yeah.
Oh, every day. The whole week. Every day. And at the end of the week, like I had sold a couple of windshields, right? The guy wouldn't even pay me. He was like, nah, he's like, you quit. I was like, because it's a bullshit job. What are you talking about? So that was my first job. And then through, some channels and looking at some other things, I found a job that had like a training program. So they would like take you in and teach you the sales and the training and the management aspect.
Is this where we met?
This was where we met.
Oh, this is where we met.
It's his second job.
Listen, okay, so the second job, this job sucked asshole.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to tell you that, right? And you know what I'm going to say? We're not going to say the name of this place because with all due respect, I'm going to tell you right now, this place sucks massive asshole.
But it gave you
100%.
amazing opportunities.
But no, it did not give me amazing opportunities. You know what it did do? I will say this. The one positive, because there are going to be people that watch this and know exactly who the fuck we're talking about. The place sucked ass. But at the same token, he said token. At the same token, it it did teach me what it takes to be successful. It taught me how to be a millionaire one day.
So how can you say it sucked and it taught me?
Because, dude, if you work your ass off and try to be a millionaire, that shit sucks. It's not fun, bro. When you're trying to get there, and they teach that mentality. They give you. I was about to say they give you the tools. But
Took it out of my mouth.
So, but at the same token, it was like they gave you the experience and they gave you the understanding of what it really takes to get to the level you want to get to. Because a lot of people that come to this company, you know, they have these ambitions like, I want to be a millionaire and I want to do this and I want to work hard and da 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 da. And it's great. It's possible. The dream that they sell is just like every other company, you know, because it's no different. There's other companies that look at us and be like, hey, you could make $1 million here. Yeah, if you're the top 1%. Right. And, you know, it's sold on a dream. Same concept as other ones. But at the same time, I will say this place did really actually show you what it would take to get there. The actual work that it takes to get there.
Well, I'm gonna take a side note. Batman said he didn't train. He did it maybe once or twice. Checked off the list on what it needed to do.
The extra
mile.
Yeah.
With this company, you had to go the extra mile each and every day. So it told you, it just taught you a life
No
lesson.
fucking doubt about that.
If you don't do it now, you're gonna do it later.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ifs and buts about it. You can't avoid the work.
Yep.
You got to put the work in. So now that you put the work in and you got the tools, you're able to leave that company and start something new, something fresh, something that you want to do with the person that you want to do it with. So go ahead, branch into that.
And by the way, before I'm going to interrupt, this answer right here is brought to you by a non-official sponsor, Terramana Tequila.
Not a sponsor yet.
Not
yet,
the sponsor yet.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the only reason why I say this is because this shit is absolutely
Bro, that is my
delicious.
favorite tequila.
Thank you. This is absolutely delicious. And if one day, please, everybody share this shit so The Rock sees it. If you want to come on the podcast, absolutely, Doug. Come on, bring it up. So, again, this answer
I
is
won't
brought
be the
to
only
you by
bald black guy.
Terramana Tequila.
He can't make it, bro. He can't make it. He won't.
He's kind of like Hawaiian though, so I mean, like,
Gotcha. But he's playing Black Adam, so he can't be.
true.
Which side are you gravitating toward? Like,
Bro, I know he stole that role from me, bro.
yeah, I know he did. I know he did.
Wait. I think The Rock.
All right,
was-
so let me answer the question before we get the Rock.
Oh,
not to
yeah.
come on
My
the show.
bad.
So I use things that I learned at this company on a daily basis in my job now. And I talk to my wife all the time and I say, as much as it sucked, the long hours, the hot days, you know, everything that the job was, customers yelling at you on a daily basis, getting pissed off, like all of that stuff. I kind of realized that like those fundamentals and those things that you learn in those environments, you really have to be able to embrace to be successful in any business, in any job that you do, in order to leverage yourself to that, you know, $1 million a year or whatever point. So I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it. It's like at the time, it sucked ass. I hated every minute of it. I was miserable. Looking back on it, I'm so appreciative of the time that I spent there, of the lessons that I learned. I have times where I'm like, man, I wish I would have seen the bigger picture at that time, because I would have dug in a little harder and tried to learn those lessons a little bit more. But I think that's part of the growth process, part of the maturing process, is like, as long as you're learning from those, like we tell our kids, as long as you're learning from your mistakes and not replicating those mistakes, you'll be better off down the road.
I get that part. To me, is essentially, how do you translate exactly that hard work into what you're doing now? And it's not like baseball. When you did everything you were supposed to do in baseball, none of those skills translate to life. It's not like you're going to be a
You know,
professional.
I'm gonna disagree with that
How?
on a different scale.
Go ahead.
I think discipline.
Take it to a macro level. Don't focus on the micro throwing or running or whatever.
Yeah,
Take it to
a macro level.
take it to a
Yeah, 100%. No, because I'll be honest. If I didn't have football, there's no way I'd be alive. There's absolutely no way. Because the only reason why I valued myself for a long time going through high school, it's not like a depression thing or anything like that. It was just I didn't care about anything but playing football, right? The only reason why I went to class and tried even a little bit, right? And mind you, I was very fortunate because I happened to obtain knowledge pretty well. right? And I can usually, if I hear it, if I see it, or whatever, if I touch it, I'll memorize it. That's how my brain functions. So I'm very fortunate in that aspect. But if it wasn't for athletics, I wouldn't have made it to college, number one. And then number two, when I was able to bring over the lessons, right? The expand it out, right? Discipline, right? Do your job, especially if you're part of a team, right? Do your job. All those things that kind of come into it, it made me, in a competitive realm, in the real world, it made me better than everyone else that I worked around. It really did.
I can see that.
So that's what
And that's so true. Working with
Continue.
him, he was always one of the top guys, right? Like he was always one of the guys that was, whether it was gifted sales talent or because of his work ethic or whatever it was, like he was always one of those guys. So it was kind of funny from my perspective. Like I'm not a naturally gifted sales guy. I don't talk a lot. The irony of being on a podcast right now is funny, but you know, I'm generally one of those guys that kind of sits back and observes and like, you know, I'll give my opinion when it's warranted, but I'm not one of those guys that's initiating the conversation a lot of times. I feel like Bruck can fucking talk to a wall. You know what I mean? Like he can talk to anybody. So I found myself, even though being the senior of him at this company,
my ego is so high right now.
like I would find myself actually like trying to emulate, trying to look like looking up and trying to mimic the things that he was doing because I saw some greatness. I saw some elite level sales or communication skills that I didn't possess. So it was kind of cool in that dynamic. It was like I was telling him what to do, but at the same time, like watching him work and function in his natural habitat. So it's kind of cool.
I'm not gonna lie, you know, I almost cried right there. Like I teared up a little bit.
It says something to say that you're successful at whatever you put your mind to doing.
Yeah.
It
One day
has your focus.
One day we'll have a pod about Bruck Nasty.
Yeah, I mean that's later on down the line.
That's later on down the road because fuck that guy.
I mean, no, you can talk about that guy all day long.
That's true. That's
we
true.
have
Good.
a
But-
plethora of people that
Yes,
talk about
but continue.
We interrupt this episode to bring you Joe's Backyard Barbecue, a delicious, amazing, gourmet type backyard barbecue meal with the most amazing service and the most amazing person that you can have at the helm, cooking those amazing ribs, the amazing brisket, and all the wonderful spices and barbecue sauce that you can imagine. So if you're in the Lake Worth, Florida area, make sure you go and see your boy Joe at Joe's Backyard Barbecue. And now back to the episode.
Continue down the road.
No, I'm just saying, like, now that you're at this point, you put all those skills together. When did you think, man, I can be really good at what I'm doing now?
You know, it's funny, man. The more that I learn, the better that I get at what I'm doing. The more that I realize I don't know, the better that I realize I have to get. You know, I listen to a lot of the Andy Frisellas and the Ed Miletts and a lot of those guys that are in that realm. And they always paint this picture of they're trying to get to a point when they die. They want the guy that they become at that point when they die, standing there meeting the guy that is their full potential, and it wants it to be the same guy. They don't want to have any gaps or any spaces in between their full potential and who they actually were.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like some Goggins mentality.
Goggins is right in that same spot.
Yeah.
Right? So
Goggins had this amazing ideal, right? When I meet my maker, I want to exceed the list.
Yep.
Like there's a list of things you were supposed to do, and I want to exceed it. That's
Yep.
amazing.
So it really, what it's done for me is it's created this mentality of continually sharpening, continually honing in on what I'm doing. Even when I master something or think that I've mastered something, trying to take it above to a next level. Because, you know, like Bruck was saying, is that he was generally better than most of the people that he was working with or people in his realm. I've gotten to the point now where my competition is me. My competition is the guy that is my 100% full potential.
Yo, hold up. Trademark that shit. That's some dope shit right there. That's some dope shit.
I'm not the first one that said that. I mean, these guys said it.
I know, but at the same, I'm the first person that's sat here and heard you say it though.
You're the first person to say it on the
Hey.
podcast.
But that's the thing, right? Like, so
Hey.
so the goal now is not to beat you or to beat Bruck or to beat any of the other real estate agents in town. It's to beat myself at 100% potential or 110% potential. And, you know, we get so caught up in like, oh, this real estate agent has $20 million in sales. Well, they've been in the business for 25 years and they have this $500,000 person book of business that they pull from, whatever it looks like. So sometimes those comparisons they're not beneficial to me or to the next person. So it's pushing myself to be better than I was the last year and to be better the next year. And then when I look at my career, when I'm at 20 years, what does that look like? What does that look like in comparison to,
Yeah.
if you're putting it up in a measuring glass compared to everyone else, but at that point, like, who gives a shit?
So real talk though. So I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit. So at this one place that we don't name, fuck it. What would you say is your worst experience there? And you don't have to list out where or the names, but again, fuck that place. But what would you say is the worst one?
Honestly, I would say the worst experience, and I'm going to lump a lot of these happenings into one general experience, is feeling like you're left on an island. So you don't have the staffing that you need. You don't have the materials or supply that you need. And you're basically told, fucking figure it out. And so
ironically,
that's life though.
Ironically, how horrible it was.
Right.
It, like we talked about earlier, when you left and I left, right, it made you better.
Yeah. So now what happens? So in that same respect, that sucked in that moment. But now what do I do when I have a client that can't find a house or they can't sell their house or whatever? Instead of me bitching about that, it creates the thought process of what's the creative solution to solve this problem.
You figure it out.
So how'd you know real estate was where I'm going to go into?
Man, so my family's been in real estate my whole life. My grandfather was in real estate. My mom had her real estate. I think she still actually has her real estate license. So I kind of grew up around it. I actually fought it for a long time. I was like, fuck real estate. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not just going to follow in everybody's footsteps. Like, one of my Achilles heels is that I can tend to be kind of prideful and that I want to do things my own way so that I can take all the credit for it.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, well, this person helped me or this person did that. Again, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing
that's not an Achilles heel.
It's extremely foolish.
How is it not?
100%.
No, it's not an Achilles heel. What the fuck are you talking about?
Absolutely.
What do you mean?
No, you know what it means? It says, hey, I walk in here, I did this shit. This is me, baby. You know what? Hold on, let me backtrack a little bit because I get scolded a lot for this.
But think about it like this: if as Batman, if I'm successful and I've already, made the path for you to go to, where you can be successful, because ultimately all you want to do is make enough money to do what you want to do. So you already have that path in front of you.
Yes,
and you're like,
you got a valid point there. You got a valid point. You had people that possibly laid the pavement.
So here's where it clicked for me. Because I had the same mentality. I was very like, I want to do it on my own because I want to have all the merit. I want to take the credit for doing what I'm doing. But you start having the conversation, and we've talked about this a little bit. You start having the conversation about generational legacies, generational wealth. Generational wealth is not built upon every generation starting from scratch.
No.
Right? Like, generational wealth is built on each generation taking another step forward on something that's been built previously, on the groundwork that has been laid prior to their generation, right?
Preach, my dog.
So that kind of hit me, and it was just like, I want to leave a legacy of generational abundance and generational wealth, and not from a monetary standpoint specifically, but from a knowledge standpoint, from a giving and a serving standpoint. So you take that.
Ooh, I like that.
You take that and you kind of have to lose the pride aspect of things. You kind of have to put that by the wayside and say, all right, listen, everybody before me did this. You don't have to replicate what they did. You don't even have to ride on the coattails per se, but you can take what they've done, do your own thing, but expand it, and then improve on what they did wrong. You kind of have a bird's eye view of what they may have gone through. So improve on what they've done, and then hopefully your kids are taking those building blocks and continuing to grow and build beyond what you've done.
That's why you're putting in the little things as you teach your
100%.
kids as you go. It's the same thing as what I do to my kids.
Yep.
Right? But my kids don't listen.
The kids.
But they'll hear it. They'll hear it, because here's what'll happen is that'll get buried in their subconscious somewhere, and then as they get older and they grow up, like, they'll pull from those nuggets and be like, oh, I remember that time my dad and I talked about starting my own business. and we talked about pricing and sales and all this other stuff. And I didn't understand it at the time, but that shit makes sense now.
You know what?
Let's roll.
When you say it, it sounds phenomenal, and you're absolutely right. And the funny thing is, I was like, yeah, you know what? I've done that too. I think about when I'm in those serious situations, right? And I'm zoning in, and then I think back, and I see my dad doing drugs.
He was committed. What he showed you was
And I was like,
commitment.
wait a second. I know how to cook some shit. I swear to God.
Listen to me. He showed you commitment above everything else. He may have been a horrible dad. He may have been a horrible worker.
All right. We should probably correct that, because in the first pod we talked a little shit about him,
Gotcha.
and we're still gonna talk
We
shit
talk shit
about
about
him.
him.
I love you, man. I love him. He's clean now, by the way, guys. But that's 45 years. 45 years of all that stuff.
That's his longest
We're-
relationship.
Yes, exactly. So, but at the same time, he's actually a phenomenal dude to hang out with. He's not a phenomenal dude to hang out with after 6 p.m. because he's all grumpy and shit. But
That's the drugs. That's
that's the other
Kick
thing.
him back
I
in.
mean,
Drugs
it
kick him back
affects
in.
your mind a little bit.
You got
But at the same time, he's actually a phenomenal dude now. And by the way, we're gonna have him on a pod one day.
Gotcha.
He's already agreed. He signed the contract. We're all good.
Listen,
So that's
I can't
gonna be
wait
an
to have
interesting story. You guys need
Let's
to tune in.
go.
But I digress. So no, I pick up what you're laying down though. I pick up what you're laying down. Like as you, even though you're throwing out the information, you're gonna throw it out early and often.
Right.
Right. And that, I mean, it's a great example of that is something that I've always said to Avery and Ryder all the time. Do it right, do it light. Do it wrong, do it long. Right. So every time I give them a task, you can hear one of them now saying it. And I've said it, oh God, 2,000 times. Right. But I'll be like, all right, kids, hey, it's time. You gotta fold the laundry. It's your turn to fold laundry. And then you'll hear Avery's got a bad attitude about it.
Right.
And then you hear Ryder, who, I love my dog, we struggles a little bit with English. So you'll hear him be like, do it right, do it light. Right? Be like, shit. But he said, Avery, do it wrong, do it long. Right? And it's like, okay, yeah, you got it. So
You got it.
I get where you're coming from. When you throw it in there repeatedly over and over, it does stick.
But they see success. I tell everyone, if you see someone being successful, you have two options, but you're
Replicate.
used to one side of life.
Yeah.
You're not used to the other side. So if you go to the other side, it's about adventure. It's about the unknown. Whereas though you know what success look like. I see my dad go to work every day. I see him put his best foot forward
Yep.
each and every day. That's what allowed him to have what he has. So they see that. Whereas though you seen your dad put everything to the side
Yeah.
and put forth one particular effort towards,
Yeah.
that smack. But nevertheless, it's a part of it. I feel like that was a good relationship.
It
I think
wasn't smack.
it wasn't smack. What was it?
It was crack.
Okay. But I
I'm
tell
kidding.
everyone, everything is about relationships. He had a relationship with that, and it had a hold on him.
Yeah.
And as you have a relationship, I'm going back into Batman,
Yeah.
he has a relationship while he's working. I mean, to be successful
Yeah.
with your wife, that says a lot. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people just bicker the whole time.
So actually, we're gonna divulge into that, and we're gonna divulge into that further point. But I have something I really wanted to ask you about. So there was a specific guy that you worked with. The moment I say this, you're gonna know who I'm talking about. Right?
Okay.
I listen. This dude was the biggest piece of shit. No, he wasn't. Yeah, he was. So now, mind you, he wasn't a piece of shit wholeheartedly, but he was one of those guys that's like, okay, everybody knows these guys. It's like rough exterior, like, hey, I hate everybody, and I'm a jokester, and I'm a piece of shit, blah blah blah. But deep, I'm talking about deep down, right? Deep down, even deeper than what I just said. Deep, he actually cared a little bit. Like he was that type of guy. You know what I'm saying? Am I wrong?
No. So the level of shittiness on the front end is probably a little heavy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that's a
Well,
facade.
I actually never worked under him.
So
I got the outskirts of him.
So I've spent a lot of time with him post company not to be named.
Can we say his name?
Should we say his name?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So no, never mind. We should probably skip that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want him suing us before we even get off the ground.
So anyway, so he was very abrupt
Yeah.
when I started working, because I came in as the assistant manager. He was the branch manager at the time,
Yeah.
and his management style was it was different than all the training manuals. Right?
Okay.
Like,
So the management style was, say on a Wednesday, it was, certain things reimbursed, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you had 50 transactions that you had to commit in a matter of 12 hours, or probably in a matter of 4 hours, to be honest. And would he help you with it?
he would usually go to the body shops and like do marketing calls, and then I'd be
He said body shops.
so
It's for cell phones.
he'd be making marketing calls to these particular companies,
Yeah.
and I'd be left at the office to handle the actual business. And now on the surface, that sucked ass because I only knew 50% or 25% of what was needed to actually run the office.
And how many times did you call him? How many times did you call him and was like, hey, bruh, we need you?
Every time. And it was the same response. He was like, you'll figure it out. He's like, you got this. You'll figure it out. So, but what happened was,
So what he's saying is my man was left on an island.
over the course of that period of time, though,
Anybody that's worked with us is going to completely laugh.
Yeah,
at this
100%.
and they'll understand. But
over the course of time, like I called him less and less because I got to the point where I was just like, well, he's not a resource at this point. Like I'm just going to have to figure it out.
yeah.
So his management style was, while it was abrupt, was extremely effective in solidifying that problem solving mentality, right? So I've actually spent quite a bit of time with him post that job. We've done some real estate transactions together and spent some more time, and he's really a good dude, right? Like he's really a solid dude.
Yeah.
He puts on the asshole exterior as a posture, as a front, right?
All right. So I have an amazing story to tell about this dude. It was
All right.
actually the most hilarious thing. So I have to, but at the same time though, I got to build you a construct to really understand what it is. And anybody that's worked in corporate America will really understand how disrespectful what this dude did right in front of me too. It was bad. So I did not work there yet. I was in an interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I want everybody to know this, I had just graduated from college not even 24 hours before this. And this was my third interview,
Okay.
right? So I'm sitting in the office, right? With Big E.
Yep.
Yeah. Right?
They're gonna know.
They're never gonna know. They're not gonna know.
They're gonna know.
So I'm sitting in the office with Big E, right? And in the middle of my interview, I don't even have the job yet, right? In the middle of my interview, this dude that you're talking about,
Yep.
this amazing manager, which by the way, before this started, I was talking mad shit about I was going to drop his name and everything. Like I had a ton of balls out there, but all of a sudden the moment came and I sacked up real quick. But either way, he kicked the door in the middle of my interview,
Yep.
right? And Big E, right, looks at, he said, bro, I'm in the middle of an interview right now, right? And he goes, dude, I don't fucking care. Right.
Just like that.
Just like that. And immediately I'm sitting in the chair in the interview. I'm like, yo, this is the place for me. I'm like, dude, I'll blend in like crazy. Right. So he walks around to the other side of the desk and the senior supervisor comparative to the mid-level supervisor, that's what he was. He was a mid-level supervisor compared to the guy I was interviewing with. So he walks up to him. He said, hey, man, I'm in the middle of an interview. You need to get out. And he said, no, bro, you said I needed to see you about something. He said, yeah, you didn't respond to the email that I sent out the last 3 days in a row. He looked at me directly in my eyeballs and he goes, bro, you think I read your emails? I was like, oh my God, I love this place.
Yes.
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
Sounds like a stellar guy. Just throwing it out there. Never met him. Sounds
Yeah,
like-
we never met him. And after this is done, when we're off camera, I'm going to tell his name because again, I sacked up.
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, no, it's not perfectly fine because now I feel like a bitch. But either way,
right.
we're gonna
Look at the
continue.
sign. Look at the sign.
You're right. I did also comment about my white legs earlier, so yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Damn, I've let our entire audience down. So, continue on. So now we'll fast forward a little bit. So we're beyond where we met.
Okay.
Which I would love to tell the story about when I was up at HR that day, but I don't think that'll go over well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if that's.
So, but continue on. So wait, when did you meet? When did you meet the one that locked you down? That one that took down Batman.
The worm.
The amazing
We go.
Madeline.
Believe it or not, it wasn't the worm. Surprisingly,
Okay.
I had kind of grown out of the worm at that point. You know, I was finishing up college. Walked into Linksters one night. Wasn't even supposed to be there. Just had some buddies that were like, "Hey, let's grab a drink." And I was like, "Nah, you know, I really don't want to do that." But I ended up there. So
Yeah.
get to the bar, walk to the end of the bar, and at the very end of Linksters, there's a couple of my buddies that are sitting there, and I walk up, "Hey, what's up, man? What's up?
Yeah.
How's it going?" And then this girl's sitting at the end of the bar,
Yeah.
and I thought she was with one of the guys, so I just politely said, "Hey, my name's Steven. Nice to meet you." Shook her hand, and I peeled off.
Yeah.
No pickup lines, no like, "Hey, Howard, you know, you're so sexy," whatever. Nothing. Just peeled off and
Okay.
walked away. And then we, you know, through the course of the night, we started playing foosball. We started talking. I realized she wasn't there with one of the guys. So then I kind of laid it on. Then I was like, oh.
All of a sudden, it was like
Yeah.
Terminator 2 style.
She was
Hey.
talking. I mean, we were playing foosball. She was ripping shots of Crown. We were talking about going to the Gator game. She was talking
Wait a second. Madeline rip shots at Crown?
about, oh, bro. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude! Oh my God!
It became more cool.
She was talking about going to the Gator game. She was talking about her family in Tennessee and how they go hunting and stuff like that. And
Oh, let's be real. The moment she said hunting and gators, you were immediately like, hey, by the way, I love you.
bro, I no bullshit. I literally looked at her and I said, "I'm going to marry you."
No.
I told her that
You
night.
said that to her in the bar?
I'd known her for like 3 hours,
Jesus.
and we're married.
No! Wait. How long?
10 years this year.
Damn!
10 years,
I
bro.
gotta get
My
back to
boy.
it. He
My
knew
boy.
exactly on
Yep.
day one.
He knew on day one.
I told her. I said, I'm gonna marry you, and she was like, "Okay." She's like, "We got to go to the bathroom," and her and her friend left the bar. They said, "Peace out." This weird guy just told me that he's gonna marry me.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
Next
I'd
time
be
you
scared
saw her.
too. I'd be
Yeah,
scared too.
I get
You
it.
committed.
You won't
Yeah.
believe it, but it's like
You
you know
pulled the
you know
goalie.
when you watch when you're watching a Netflix show and you already know like 10 years later, but you go back and watch the 8 years prior, you're like, oh, I know they survived, but what the fuck happens?
Yeah.
That's my anticipation right
Yep.
now. It's like I'm watching X-Files from 2001, but I already know what happens.
Yeah.
Continue.
So
Yeah, I gotta hit him.
my
So-
anticipation is very high right now.
How I Met Your Mom.
So they go to the bathroom and then they walk out the back door and go to Molly's through the alley, right? And I'm like kind of looking around, you know, it's been 20, 30 minutes, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like,
Dude, she bailed on
she
me.
bailed. 100% bailed. So my buddy and I will
Madeline, I'm so disappointed.
forever be
I'm excited about it.
I will forever be grateful for my boy Danny Evelyn, who was a golfer at Florida Southern at the time. He comes up to me, he goes, "Bro," he's like, "I got you. Here's her Facebook." And I was like, "Bro," completely saved the deal.
So you were a stalker.
So I did the hold on.
Stage
Hold on.
five. Off the
Hold on.
You were a stalker.
So I did the only respectable thing I could do at that
I
point.
gotta hear it. I gotta hear it. What's that?
And I sent her a message on Facebook.
Okay. Okay.
And it was very nice.
He slid in the DM.
It was very nice. That was before
So
DMs,
you
right? Like, that
you
was
did what year was this?
2011.
So my man started sliding in the DMs.
Started from the bottom.
You started from the bottom, baby.
And now we're here.
my boy. Fantastic. So
She
what happened?
responded?
What happened?
All right, so my wife has 4 sisters, right? And they are equally as firecracker as my wife is. Love them all to death. They're the sisters that I never had, right?
I'm gonna point out, being as that I know her a little, I don't know her super, but at the same time, I do know if I say the wrong thing, she'll punch me in the face.
100%.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the rest of the sisters will too.
Okay.
Certified.
So
Now you know what we're doing.
So you see what kind of crowd we're working with here, right?
Gotcha.
So she was in Tennessee with her sisters when I sent this Facebook message.
Yeah.
So of course they're like, she tells me the story now. She was like, I picked up my phone and I was like, oh my God, this guy from the bar is sending me a Facebook message. And they were all laughing about it around a bonfire. And it was very nice. It was just like, hey, it was nice to meet you. You know, sorry we didn't get to hang out longer. Let's hang out when you get back. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Like really chill.
You were like
And
super gentleman about it.
I was very gentlemanly about it. So
Damn.
long story short, our first date, and I'm going to tell on you a little bit here, babe. I promise. I'm sorry for this. But she calls me up one night and she's like we had kind of been talking back and forth a little bit, hadn't really hung out much.
Yeah.
She calls me up and she's like, hey, I'm going to the casino. Do you want to come meet up? And I was like, at this point, I was like, nah, not really. Like, I'm kind of over, like, you know, the back and forth. Like, nah, I'm good.
Oh.
And
They hard to get.
she
the
drops,
plot thickens.
she drops this line. She goes, oh, that's fine. I figured you couldn't hang.
Ah!
Yeah, I like it.
And I was like, whoop, in the truck. I'm on the way to the casino, right?
Mhm.
She knew what she was doing. So go to the casino. We hang out, had a great time, played some blackjack, ripping shots of Crown, you know, doing the thing. And then didn't even give like a goodnight kiss, just kind of like hug, hey, see you later, we'll talk, bounce, we're out. So later on, I found out after we had been married, she told me, she's like, hey, she's like, I wanted to tell you, like, that night at the casino, she's like, you were actually the third option. She's like,
Oh.
it was girls' night and the girls bailed. I called another guy to meet me up there. He wouldn't come. And so then I called you and you showed up.
Okay.
And I was like, well, that other guy's a dumbass, first of all.
Yeah.
I said,
First of all, whoever that dude is out there, fuck you, bro.
No. Love to you. I'm glad you passed. that.
yeah,
That's-
props to you, bro.
Yeah,
Thank
love
you so
to
much.
you. Thank you didn't show up. Secondly, fuck you. We'll beat your ass. But no. But
That guy threw that out there.
all right, yeah, we threw that out there. But
So then from that point on, man, it was all, we were good. So we met in October of 2011. We were married November of 2012.
wow.
Look, dang, that escalated fast.
Yeah.
That's
We got engaged January. Got married
Because she
November.
realized.
4 months.
No, she realized. My man saved Gotham.
The butter has been in the refrigerator longer.
The
than
butter has been in the refrigerator.
4 months.
Hey,
You know you wanted to take it home.
damn.
I didn't even know I liked football at 4 months.
I didn't
was
even know I liked
nah,
football
it's
for
probably not for me.
Hey.
They're out there hitting each other. I'm good.
Okay. That's fantastic.
All right, so that's how we met. That's
that's how you met. That honestly, let's be real though. Beautiful story. And marriage, you said 10 years?
10 years.
10 years.
Congratulations. That's 20 years in this day and age.
In this day and age,
It's
that's
always
beyond a difficult
I
feat.
take that back. It's almost 30 since they worked together. That's nonstop communication.
Valid.
And everyone knows in a relationship, any relationship, you have to have great communication. If you don't,
Yep.
you're setting yourself up for failure.
Oh,
I tell you what, man, that's a constant learning point for us. Like getting together and starting to work together initially, it was tough. Like because we went from not seeing each other for 12 to 14 hours a day and just kind of seeing each other for a couple hours at the end of the day and then going to bed to 24/7, right? Like talking about, you know, you're not just talking about what you're eating for dinner, you're talking about high level shit at that point. You're talking about business plans and future plans and what are we doing with our kids and like all these other conversations. So it took some getting used to. I mean, it took us probably a year or 2 years to really kind of catch a groove as far as how the business was going to operate, who was going to do what parts of the business.
and this was obviously years after you've been married because you were, we worked
Right,
together for a little
right.
bit. And so, I mean, you're still.
Yeah, so 2014, December of 2014 was when we started in real estate. So you're talking 2 years plus
Yeah.
that we've been married.
So it's like a whole new learning curve.
Oh man, the
Yep.
relationship was tested completely, like each
Big
and
time.
every day. Like,
Big time.
and you can't say you started out immediately and was successful, even though you come from
Oh,
a
no,
family of real estate agents.
So what happened was I thought I wanted to be in commercial real estate, right? Like I wanted to do the big deals. I wanted to be in the big money. And we had some conversations with some different people and ended up where we were going to start in residential real estate. And then once we built that business, she was going to kind of take that over and then I was going to go into commercial. Well, we got into residential and it was just, I lost the desire to go to the commercial route, right? Because it was, you're talking every 30 to 45 days, you're turning over transactions, you're dealing with people on a daily basis. Whereas commercial, you may be, a deal may take you 12 months to close. And there's a lot of due diligence in place and just different
That's
things.
a lot more money involved, and
Yeah.
that's why it's a bigger decision making process.
Big time.
I look at it like it's just like anything else. It's just another challenge.
Sure. It just depends. You're picking which challenge you want to take on.
Would you guys ever branch into that?
At some point, probably. So, we dabble a little bit with land deals or, not so much warehouses or storage and stuff like that. But, I always tell her not to jump ahead of where we're going with this. But, kind of our long-term goal for real estate is to basically have enough passive income where we can make a decision on if we're going to do the day-to-day real estate stuff. You know what I mean? So whether that's Airbnbs or a storage facility or an apartment complex or one of those kind of like high level type situations. So that's kind of the long-term plans as far as where are we going from where we're at.
I was gonna say we'll definitely get to that. So when let's kind of reel it back in here a little bit because we got off on the beautiful love story.
Yeah, man, it's an awesome story.
I'm surprised.
I'm
gonna be honest, Madeline. I'm highly disappointed.
I'm not gonna
If I got an inbox from, if I was Madeline, if I got the inbox says Batman, I'd have been like,
he's getting it. He's getting it.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2, The Batman. This is going to be part 1, and we're going to have part 2 coming out in 2 weeks from premiere date. And as you guys know, we kind of uncovered a little bit of the introduction of Batman's life, where he went to school, a little bit of fun times in college, while also, diving into, what kind of business we met in, and then also what he's doing a little bit nowadays and where he met the love of his life. But in episode 2, we're actually going to dive into a little bit more deeper, things as far as deeper topics. So we go into a lot of what it's like to balance running your own business while running your business 24/7 with the person you're married. So you're constantly together. What are those challenges, but what are the upsides of it, right? What's it like to try and get away from that to get your own headspace? We also dive into trying to balance being a full-time entrepreneur while being a full-time parent, right? And that's something that's challenging for everybody in everyday life. So once again, it's an amazing human being. He's got some real insightful words coming in part 2. So if you guys really enjoyed part 1, which I know you did because, it's the Batman, please come back part 2. Again, every 2 weeks, we're going to release on Wednesday, 5 a.m. in the audio and 12 p.m. noon on the YouTube. So like I said, thank you guys so much. Please check out our social media pages. We got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Please subscribe. Please like, and like we said before, leave comments. We're looking to make sure that we get as much feedback as possible so we can bring you the best content. So once again, subscribe, like, and tune in for part 2 in 2 weeks.